Okay, we are back, guys. Sorry about that. Discord is terrible. It has been having some issues lately. I was having issues with it on Sunday, but I think we're back now. Showing my connection looking good. So, yeah.
Do we have any idea where it dropped?
Not really.
Okay. So we were talking about the Ohio State defensive line.
Right.
And how we almost in order to analyze this in any meaningful way, we kind of have to just assume something, because it's so impactful. As we approach the analysis, they either are going to have a bunch of people or they're not, because the reports are that their entire defensive line could be decimated. I'm assuming one or two.
I don't know what that means, right? Does that just mean what is? I mean, obviously they have a lot of scholarship defensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
They probably double digits, I'm guessing, right? So, what does it mean for that group? Does it mean 5 guys are out? Does it mean 7 guys are out?
I would think that's the fear that's what they've feared, is that they've had a few test positive and they are having to test more. Now, maybe the fact that we haven't heard more means the rest of those tests have not been positive, and it might just be the few that tested positive to begin with. I'm assuming that there would be no concern if they had nobody test positive, that there has to be 1 or 2 players that tested positive that's causing concern for an outbreak within the position group.
Right. Because there was rumors that Alabama is kind of just. I think maybe we talked about this on a show. Alabama discouraging position group. They could change that. They're at 17 days with their contact tracing, right? The Big Ten. So even if you took some days off that again, which you probably could do and still be safe.
Yeah.
Right. Because 17 is still on the super high side.
Yeah.
So even if you started to take it down, you probably couldn't take it down far enough to let those guys play in the game without potentially being unsafe.
Yeah.
I guess it depends when they actually tested positive. But I'm going to assume it would be within a 10-day window, and are you going to let them go back out there after a 10-day window? I don't know, or earlier than a 10-day window.
Peak 2020 discussion right here.
Yeah, and not, and also just and Carter, you would kind of acknowledge this before, just really shitty. Really shitty that this, COVID shitty. Okay, not exactly breaking news here. But it's just you want to be able to play this game with everybody healthy and everybody able to play and not have to be focused on on this virus. And these are 2 incredible teams, and it would be an incredible game to see them both play at full strength. And, and also from the perspective of the players, to get to the national championship and then not be able to play the game either because you're sick or because of contact tracing or something like that. It just sucks. It really sucks. Now, I don't know if it sucks enough where the right thing to do is push the game back.
Yeah. Okay, if you could guarantee me that Jalen Waddle would be full strength, ready to go, full snaps, complete speed, I'd probably say fuck it, let's do it. Because I'll take it. Even if that means their whole defensive line is back, I'll fucking take it, man. Because I already think this is that's Alabama's best matchup in this game. I think it's the wide receivers versus Ohio State secondary. Because Shaun Wade is their best corner, and he got lit up by John Dotson from Penn State, by Ty Freifogel from Indiana, by Cornell Powell against Clemson. Powell had 150 yards or something like that. They have not been able to stop guys in man coverage this year. And
yeah,
especially as much as Sark moves Devontae around to get advantageous matchups to where they're not even going to have weight on him all the time. I think there still should be so much potential for explosive plays in this game, even if Ohio State is trying to kind of sit back and stop that.
So, speaking of more things that we don't really know the answer to, is Ohio State going to keep? Is Ohio State still not going to play 5 defensive backs in this game if Waddle plays? Like, is that what we're expecting?
That they don't play what? Sorry.
Five defensive backs, right? Because they're because they don't do that, right? They don't match 11 personnel with nickel.
They play 3 off-ball linebackers. They put one of their safeties on the slot guy, and then they have the other safety high.
And they did this. I'm telling you, they did this back in 2014 against
Alabama. Darren Lee
had like played himself into like the first round or something. I don't remember exactly.
NFL,
but he was ridiculous in that. I went into that game thinking, all right, you're not going to put 5 defensive backs on the field against Alabama offense. I mean, I don't know. That's going to be pretty ugly. It didn't go so poorly for them. But if your 3 wide receivers are Devontae Smith, John Mechie, and Jalen Waddle, that's tough to not play 5 defensive backs against those guys.
Yeah. Like if they can get Devontae or Jalen matched up on a safety, or a linebacker, it's over.
I think that's tough.
Yeah. And even then,
it's just
that was just the regular fuck up. So
yeah,
at least we know what that
was. It's just it's okay. It's the theme of the night. So I would have a really hard time. I mean, and then if you're going to do that, then you're not going to play any too high looks. And we already talked about how they mostly just play cover 3. So I don't really know how you stop Alabama's passing attack like that.
Well, and so there was a great piece in The Athletic today by their Ohio State beat writer, who did a long film breakdown, which is pretty good. And in it, he according to I think Sports Info Solutions or one of the major big analytics companies that media and teams use. Alabama is averaging 12.9 yards per attempt against middle of the field closed defenses. It's top in the country very easily. They absolutely eat up single high coverages.
Yeah, so that's just even more reason. And I know Seth Galina posted a piece for PFF today about how Ohio State did a lot of things against Clemson offensively that they hadn't really done much all season. They isolated Olave Garrett Wilson a lot. They played formation into the boundary a lot. They huddled a lot. Don't really want to get into a whole Clemson sign stealing debate, but ostensibly that's why they did it.
Even if you don't think it's sign stealing, Venables likes to basically wait to the last minute to get the call in so he can have the perfect thing called, and they basically just waited to the last minute to get the offensive call in so that Venables couldn't adjust at the last second, and Clemson just totally could not handle it. They had so many busts.
I mean, they were just not lined up. So many plays, they were just not ready. Guys looking to sideline, guys scrambling to get into position at the snap. I mean, it was just a disaster. But anyways, we'll come to that side of the ball after. So, I mean, the idea was okay, well, if in game number 7 they pulled out things that they hadn't done all year on offense in order to take advantage of issues that Clemson might have, can they do that on defense in this game against Alabama? So just to sort of dovetail with the unknowns theme or unknowables theme, this is just another example of that. Is just, and that's in part because they played so few games. And you can play, if you've only played 6 games, you can do something in your 7th game that you haven't. You can do. I mean, you can always do something that you've never done, no matter how many games you played. If it's like 1 or 2 plays, but you can make some fundamental changes to your offense, such as like a whole bunch of formation stuff that you hadn't done before in the previous 6 games. But if you play 12 games, you can't really do that in game number 13. I mean, probably not. I mean, in theory you could, but it becomes a lot more difficult. So you could see some totally different stuff from the defense, but I feel like they're more limited. I don't know about these wholesale changes. I think, you're still going to get the same sort of base formations, and maybe there'll be some sort of coverage tweaks and stuff like that. But I don't know how much you could change.
Like, particularly on defense, as relatively simple as they've been all year, and going back years, because this is, like, other than the prevalence of cover 3 as opposed to cover 1, which I think is mostly a personnel thing, like, I mean, they've been the same scheme for years. Like this is what they do. It's nothing complicated.
Yeah.
And that's been good for them at times. It's been bad for them at times, Greg Schiano. But they're not. This is not Brent Venables. Like, it's not Nick Saban. It's not Kirby Smart. Like,